Welcome to Master English Listening. Learn English through stories. Emma lived in a small town surrounded by green hills and peaceful rivers. She loved her town, but she often felt like there was more to life than the quiet streets and simple routine. Every day she worked at a small bakery making bread and cakes. She didn't mind the work, but deep down she longed for something more exciting, something different. One evening, after finishing her shift at the bakery, Emma decided to take a walk through the town square. It was a beautiful night, with the sky painted in shades of purple and orange. She walked slowly, thinking about the things she wished she could do, like travel the world and see new places. As Emma walked, she noticed a small poster on a lamp post. It was bright yellow, and it had bold letters that said, "Last train to the big city. Departing tonight." Emma's heart skipped a beat. The train was leaving tonight, and it was going to the big city she had always dreamed of visiting. She stared at the poster for a few moments. The idea of leaving her small town excited her, but also scared her. She had never traveled far from home. She had always stayed close to her family, her job, and her friends. But something inside her said that this was a chance she couldn't miss. After a few minutes of thinking, Emma decided to go to the train station. She wasn't sure what she would do when she got to the city, but she knew she had to take the train. She wanted to see the world beyond her town, to experience life in a way she had never done before. Emma walked quickly to the station. Her heart was racing and her mind was full of questions. Would she be able to find a place to stay in the city? What if she didn't like it there? What if she was making a mistake? When Emma arrived at the station, the train was already there, waiting. It was a big, shiny train with bright lights shining from the windows. The platform was busy with people coming and going. Some were saying goodbye, while others were getting ready to board the train. Emma stood by the entrance, feeling nervous but excited at the same time. She looked around, wondering if she was making the right decision. A few people noticed her standing alone, and they smiled at her. Their smiles made her feel a little better. Just as she was about to step onto the train, she saw a man walking toward her. He was holding a suitcase, and he looked as if he was in a hurry. He walked past Emma and then stopped suddenly. "Excuse me," he said. "Are you going to the city?" Emma nodded. "Yes, I am. I've always wanted to visit." The man smiled. "I'm Mark. I've lived in the city for many years. It's a great place, but it can be a little overwhelming at first." "Thank you for telling me," Emma said, feeling a bit more at ease. "I've never been to the city before. I'm a little nervous." Mark looked at her with understanding. "It's normal to feel nervous. But don't worry, you'll be fine. The city is full of opportunities and there's so much to see and do." Emma felt a little better after talking to Mark. She wasn't alone. She had someone to talk to on the journey, and that made her feel more confident. The train began to move slowly at first, then picking up speed as they left the town behind. Emma looked out the window and saw the familiar streets fading away. She felt a mixture of excitement and fear. She was leaving everything she knew for the unknown. As the night went on, Emma and Mark talked about their lives. Mark told her about his job in the city and how he had moved there many years ago. Emma shared her story of working in the bakery and how she had always dreamed of seeing the world. They laughed and talked about their hopes and dreams, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt like she was on the right path. Hours passed, and the train continued its journey through the dark countryside. The lights in the train flickered softly, and the sound of the wheels on the tracks was calming. Emma felt a little sleepy, but she didn't want to close her eyes. She was afraid that if she did, she might miss something important. When the train finally arrived in the city, it was early in the morning. The station was large and busy, with people rushing in all directions. Emma stepped off the train and looked around. The city was much bigger than she had imagined. There were tall buildings everywhere, and the streets were full of cars and people. It was noisy and fast-paced, completely different from the quiet town she had come from. Mark turned to Emma. "Welcome to the city," he said with a smile. "It can be a bit overwhelming at first, but don't worry. You'll get used to it." Emma took a deep breath and nodded. She was excited but also nervous. She had no idea what to do next. She had no friends or family in the city, and she didn't have a place to stay. But she was determined to make it work. She had come this far, and she wasn't going to turn back now. As she walked through the station, she noticed a sign that said, "Information Desk." She decided to go there and ask for help. Maybe they could give her some advice on where to stay or what to do. At the information desk, Emma met a friendly woman named Laura. Laura listened to Emma's story and gave her some suggestions for places to stay. She also recommended a few tourist spots that Emma could visit while she figured out her next steps. "I know it can be hard at first," Laura said. "But remember, the city is full of opportunities. You just have to find them." Emma smiled, feeling a little more confident. Laura's kind words made her believe that she could make it in the city. There were challenges ahead, but there was also so much to discover. After leaving the information desk, Emma walked through the busy streets of the city. She felt small in the big crowd, but at the same time she felt a sense of freedom. For the first time, she didn't have to worry about anyone telling her what to do. She could make her own choices. As she walked, Emma began to explore the city. She found a small cafe and decided to sit down for a cup of coffee. The cafe was cozy, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee made her feel at home. She sat by the window and watched the people walking by. They all seemed so busy, but Emma felt calm in the moment. While she sat at the cafe, Emma realized something important. She had always wanted to leave her town and see the world, but she had never known how to start. Now she was here in the big city, taking her first steps toward a new life. It wasn't going to be easy, but she knew she had made the right choice by getting on that last train. That afternoon, Emma decided to take a walk in one of the city's parks. It was a quiet place with tall trees and benches where people could sit and relax. As she walked, Emma thought about her future. She had no clear plan, but she was excited to explore new opportunities and learn more about the world. She realized that even though the city was big and fast, she could still find peace in it. The noise and the crowds didn't scare her anymore. She was ready to face whatever came her way. As the sun began to set, Emma felt a sense of calm wash over her. She had made it to the city and she was not going to give up. The journey had just begun and she was ready for whatever came next. Later that evening, Emma found a small apartment to rent. It wasn't much, but it was a start. She felt proud of herself for taking the leap. She had left her small town behind, but she had taken the first step toward building her own future. Looking out of the window of her new apartment, Emma smiled. She had taken the last train to the city, and it had brought her exactly where she needed to be. The adventure was just beginning,